Are you actually content with your life, or have you unconsciously lowered what you allow yourself to want? I really want you to sit with that question for a second because someone recently asked me this. They were struggling with this contentment that they feel while they want expansion. They asked me, how do I stop feeling content and actually ask more from life? And when they said that, I remember thinking, wow, that's actually a much deeper question than people realize, because a lot of people are quietly living inside this weird emotional conflict between peace and expansion. Like, part of them wants more life, more shmoney, 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 more freedom, more love, more experiences, more expression, more creativity, more success. But another part of them feels guilty for wanting more at all. So they flatten their desires down to a level that feels emotionally comfortable and then call that peace, contentment, gratitude. And I want you to ask yourself honestly while you watch this, and try not to let your ego answer too quickly. What is your soul actually craving right now? Is it genuinely fulfilled? Or have you disconnected from your deeper desires because wanting more started to feel emotionally unsafe? Because there's a difference, a huge difference between true contentment and emotionally adjusting yourself downward just to feel better about not going after the things you actually want. And I think a lot of people do this without realizing. Especially spiritually minded people, especially people who were praised their whole life for being low maintenance, humble and grateful, easygoing, not asking for much, not being too materialistic, not taking up too much space. A lot of people built identities around being the person who doesn't need much. And over time, they start confusing shrinking themselves with inner peace. They start thinking if they really wanted more money, more success, more visibility, more pleasure, more life, that somehow means they are greedy or shallow or ungrateful or egotist, egoic. So now they are stuck in this weird state where they privately fantasize about expansion, but publicly perform contentment. And you can literally feel this in people sometimes. You hear them say things like, I don't really care about money that much. I don't really need too much. I just cover the basics. But their entire nervous system lights up when they talk about the life they secretly want. Or they'll say, I'm fine where I am. But underneath, there's resentment, frustration, envy, grief, numbness, procrastination, self sabotage. And I know this topic can trigger people because people hear conversations like this and immediately think somebody is saying you should never be satisfied, or you should constantly hustle and chase things forever. And that's not even remotely what I'm saying. Some people genuinely are deeply fulfilled. And that's different. Some people really could expand further, but they feel whole either way. That energy feels very calm, very open, very grounded, but contraction feels different. Contraction, shrinking, playing small sounds more like wanting more makes me uncomfortable. Success changes people. I don't want people to judge me. I don't want to become arrogant. I shouldn't need more. I should just be grateful. And a lot of the time, people don't realize how much guilt they carry around desire itself, especially around shmoney, 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 especially if you grew up around stress, instability, criticism, shame, survival, religion, emotionally unavailable parents, whatever it was, because your nervous system starts building emotional associations around expansion. More visibility can feel dangerous. More money can feel unsafe. More success can feel separating, ostracizing, lonely. More ambition can feel morally wrong. So instead of expanding your capacity for those things, you unconsciously lower your desires down to a level your nervous system can tolerate. People literally disconnect from their desires because it's so soothing. It's soothing to disconnect from your desires than to actually connect with them and feel the absence of them. Because you've convinced yourself that you can't actually have your desires for some reason, right? Or your conditioning, or your trauma, or your wounds. And this is where upper limits come in. Upper limits. Everybody has emotional ceilings around what feels normal, what feels safe, what feels deserved. And these ceilings affect literally everything. Your relationships, your shmoney, your confidence, your standards, your business, your opportunities, your career. And a lot of people think they sabotage success because maybe they hate themselves, or because they are lazy, or because they lack discipline, or they don't want it badly enough. But sometimes people sabotage abundance because abundance feels emotionally unfamiliar. Their body has spent years and years and years and years adapting to smaller versions of life, smaller expectations, smaller visibility, smaller receiving, smaller dreams. So every time expansion starts getting close, the nervous system panics a little bit because now we're leaving the familiar identity behind. Oh no. And it is why some people say they want more shmoney, but then emotionally collapse when more shmoney actually starts coming in. My work is starting to attract people who have a bulletproof mindset, but they keep they keep sabotaging their shmoney. A lot of people who have the right mindset and they're manifesting the money, right? They're not actually holding the money. They're not holding the money. This is a lottery, the lottery winner syndrome. People who win the lottery, right? They manifest a windfall, but 6 months later, they're back to square one. They're back to broke or worse off. A lot of people are doing this. You may hear these stories and think, oh my God, these people are so irresponsible. No, this is not irresponsibility. This is nervous system. This is financial trauma. This is upper limits. This is nervous system capacity. You are doing the same thing, just on a smaller scale. My work is starting to wake people up. People are starting to realize that mindset will not suffice. Mindset is not enough. We cannot just focus from neck up. Nervous system is key when creating wealth. Nervous system matters so much. The people who say, oh yeah, nervous system doesn't matter. Oh yeah, no one spoke about this. They don't know what they're talking about. Your nervous system has a huge impact on how much money you call in, how much money you get to keep, sustain, how much money and ambition and visibility you experience. And this is why some people say they want more money, but then emotionally collapse when more actually starts coming in. This is why people finally get opportunities and suddenly procrastinate, disappear, overspend, self-isolate, numb out, stop posting online, sabotage relationships, undercharge, play small again. The nervous system is trying to return to what feels familiar, return to the baseline. And this is why I talk so much about nervous system capacity. I keep going on about nervous system in my work, because people think making more money is only strategy and mindset, when so much of it is emotional tolerance. Can your body actually hold expansion? Can you hold visibility? Can you hold receiving? Can you hold success without guilt? Can you hold more money without subconsciously trying to get rid of it? A lot of people can intellectually say, I deserve more money, but deep down, there are still wounded parts carrying shame and fear and emotional memories from years ago. There's still a younger part inside that learned their needs were too much, that asking for more created conflict, that being visible created criticism, that ambition created rejection. So now the adult version of them keeps negotiating themselves downward in life. One thing I've realized is that some people never feel the tension required for expansion because they emotionally adjusted themselves downward years and years ago. Their desires became smaller than their actual soul. So now there's no tension because they stopped expecting much from life in the first place, right? Like I said, they disconnect from their desires. And that's what I find truly harrowing, because human beings are naturally expansive. We are constantly evolving. We naturally want to create, experience, grow, love, express, build, explore. That's part of being alive. You do not need to become emotionally miserable in order to expand. Contentment and expansion are not opposites. You can appreciate your life right now and still desire a bigger one. You can feel grateful and still want more. You can love yourself and still expand yourself. Some people are secretly waiting for permission to admit that they want more. More money, more beauty, more ease, more love, more freedom, more life. And you're allowed to want those things. You're allowed to outgrow old versions of yourself. When you feel that inner nudge to play bigger, but you ignore it, that's literally your soul seeking expansion. That's your soul seeking expansion. Who the hell are you to say that, no, 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 I'm okay with a small life? You know, I don't need to expand. I'm good with what I've got. That's your soul. Your desire is what keeps the universe moving forward. You have desires. I need you to reconnect with your desires. You're allowed to increase your standards. You're allowed to become more visible. You're allowed to receive more. And a lot of healing work is really about increasing what feels emotionally safe to receive. That's why in my work, I focus so much on healing money wounds, the wounded beliefs you have around money, rebuilding self-concept, increasing nervous system capacity, healing those wounded parts inside of you that still associate expansion with danger. Because when those parts start healing, your entire relationship with receiving changes. You stop emotionally collapsing around opportunities. You stop shrinking yourself to maintain comfort. You stop feeling guilty for wanting more from life. Your finances can literally change alongside your nervous system because your internal ceiling starts changing, right? Your self-concept starts changing. What you tolerate changes. What you allow changes. How you negotiate changes. What you ask for changes. What you believe is available for you changes. People underestimate how much behavior shifts naturally once somebody genuinely feels worthy on a deeper level. I've had some people who haven't even signed up to paid work telling me they've seen huge results. They're getting huge results. They're seeing huge shifts in their life from just tuning into my work and understanding nervous system patterns, understanding the wounded beliefs they have around money. It's very different for everybody. It really depends on your level of conditioning, your inner child wounds, and your trauma. Some people, it takes a few months to get results. For some people, like I said, they didn't even sign up for any paid deeper healing work, and they've just been watching my content, tuning into my lives, and they're seeing a huge difference in their life. The inner work is key. Somebody who feels safe receiving moves differently. They stop settling in certain situations. They stop talking themselves out of opportunities. They stop making themselves emotionally smaller around people, everyone. They stop acting like their desires are embarrassing. And honestly, some of you watching this already know that the bigger life inside you trying to emerge, but every time it gets close, you soften it down because the expansion feels unfamiliar. So I really want you to think about this after the video ends. Are you genuinely fulfilled right now? Or have you unconsciously disconnected from parts of yourself just to maintain emotional safety? Because your life will always start organizing itself around what you feel safe experiencing. And if deep down you feel safer being small, hidden, low maintenance, and emotionally contained in drinking, you'll keep pulling yourself back there even when life is trying to move you forward. The real work is learning how to stay open during expansion instead of collapsing back into familiarity every time your life starts getting bigger, expanding. So many people are unknowingly living inside emotional ceilings they think are personality traits. They think they are just not ambitious, not money driven, not someone who wants much from life, when really their nervous system learned that expansion wasn't safe. So if you're struggling with upper limits, unconscious ceilings around money and success, or feeling emotionally unsafe around expansion, this is exactly the kind of work I help people with. My free money wound quiz will show you exactly what subconscious blocks you have around success, wealth, being rich, rich people, expansion, visibility, ambition, shmoney, shmoney, shmoney. And all my other healing packages, my signature coaching program is all linked below if you want to start changing your relationship with money and receiving from a nervous system level. Thank you so much for watching, sending you so much love, and I will see you in a jiffy.